Hey students, today I'm making this video for you to follow along with me as we learn to draw the human head. So grab yourself your piece of paper and your ruler and pencil, and we will get started. So today we're going to get going by making a vertical line through our paper, and I'm going to make a 6-inch diameter circle. That's leaving the radius at 3 inches, of course. So I'm going to turn my ruler now perpendicular to that line. I'm also going to mark it at 6 inches and 0. And these are going to help me in drawing a better circle. Draw light-handed so that you can erase when you make a mistake. If you have a compass, use it, but it's great practice to learn how to draw circle freehand. So it's a pretty big circle to draw freehand, so you may feel more comfortable making a few of those marks that go out and show you the distance from the center to the outside point, which is the radius, so that you can connect the dots on there. So we have a couple parts to our head. We have the cranial mass as well as the facial mass. The facial mass is the jawbone that juts forward, and the cranial mass is the round part that encases your brain. So this section here is going to be representing in our drawing the cranial mass. I'm going to line my ruler back up against that 6 inches, and I'm going to make a mark at 1 inch and 5 inches. If we take our 6 and we divide it by 3, we get 2 inches. So what I've really done here is I'm dividing the sphere into sixths. So I have 1/6, 2/6, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I want 1/6 at the top, and I want 1/6 at the bottom, which leaves 2/3 here in the middle. Cranial mass is not quite a sphere. On the sides of the cranial mass, it's kind of cut off, like having a ball of dough and then slicing little bits off the side. So I start with my sphere and then going to cut off a few little slices here in the middle out of this 2/3. Having a big eraser will be helpful for this large drawing today. This is called the Loomis method of drawing heads. Loomis method, excuse me. And I'm going to go ahead and draw a line across the center of my circle now. And lighten those. So this line that's here in the middle of your cranial mass, the big ball that you started with, the sphere, this is going to be where the eyebrows rest. The eyes are going to come right underneath into this section. The line where we had our 1/6 mark is going to be the bottom of the nose. The bottom of that circle is going to be the mouth. And let's take one more 1/6 and add it on. And that is going to be the bottom of the chin. So if you wanted to take your ruler and measure out exactly 1 more 1/6 of our total height, you can there. And you can take your pencil and connect this down, trying to get them symmetrical or even on both sides. Look at that. All right. So with our line of symmetry in mind, I like to go in and start putting the eyes in. It's often said that the face is 5 eyes wide, but using this particular method, I'd like for you to focus on the sections here at the sides that were cut off from the original sphere, and that we are going to get 3 even sections in between there with a little bit on the side. So if you imagine 3 eyes in here, it will look something like that. All right, so I want to talk briefly about the shape of the eye and the different parts of the eye. We have the tear duct here in the middle. Then we have the upper eyelid, which goes up at a fairly steep angle. The middle of the upper eyelid, which slightly angles down. And then the outer part of the upper eyelid that angles slightly down as well. I've made a line at a diagonal there so that it can help me to break up 2 main segments of the lower eyelid. 1 and 2. So it angles, it's not straight up and down where the height of the upper eyelid is right in the middle and the lowest point of the lower eyelid is right in the middle. Rather, it goes at an angle this way. You may want to stop the video there and go ahead and try to get your eyelids into your image. Taking a little bit of time to get them symmetrical. Now, when we create the iris of the eye, usually if someone is looking straight on, you're not going to see all of the circle of the iris. And in fact, the upper eyelid is going to cover a bit more. And you may see a bit of white at the bottom. I'm going to draw some little bits of circles in there for my pupils. It looks a little weird when we don't have any indication in the middle between the 2 eyes of the curve of the nose. So it's nice to put a little of that curve in soon after. We need to put lines for our eyelids. Remember this section right here in the corner for the tear duct is not white. So it's good to give a little bit of value to that. Also, you may like to add a slight vision of the underside of the eyelid there, as well as bits of the eyelid on the bottom. We need to give the crease of the eyelid, even though we're just kind of making this person up. We don't have an age for them. We don't have an ethnicity for them. Everyone's going to be a little bit different. Some have heavy folds, some have no folds. Some used to have folds, and then as we age, they start to droop. So you're going to have to look at your individual person to determine that. So I said this line is going to be the eyebrow bone. If you're drawing the face of a man, it's more likely that the eyebrow is a little bit more straight and a little bit thicker. Might be shaped something like that. A little bit straight, turning out and down as it reaches the outer edges of the face. I'm not going to get into shading the human face in this video. I just want to get you with some basics on how to draw the human face. If you will please next for the nose, take lines down so that you can see the thickness of the nose here. Nose is generally considered to be the width of one eye or the distance between the two eyes. On the nose, the easiest way to create a nose is really shaped like a wedge. So I like to put in some curves for the nostrils as they turn down, and then put some curves on the outside edges to indicate the edges of the nostrils. Some noses are longer and pointier. It's up to you to look at your specific subject. The other thing that's tricky about drawing the nose is that the nose is really just made up of angles and shadows. It has very few lines to it. So drawing the nose with line can be a little bit of an illusion. So that's not really what the nose looks like, being composed with lines. But you see here we have 3 spheres. We have a ball here, and we have 2 half spheres that are on the sides. And these would all end up shading areas. So if you can follow that basic guideline, though, you will have a decent looking nose, at least for just a basic sketch of a human face. Underneath our noses and above our upper lip, we have a little pocket of skin. And so I form that as a little triangle before then going down to the outside edges of my mouth. You'll take lines from the middles of your eyes, the middle of your pupil. Your mouth should never be any wider than this. So be careful that you do not make your mouth go much further than those points. Take that in a bit. I always say that the upper lip is shaped much like a squished out letter M. And then when you draw the bottom lip, make sure that the corners of the mouths don't reach each other. It's not that they don't, it's that generally we don't see the corners reaching each other because the top lip hangs over. All right. In terms of putting the ears on, the ears start at the level of the eye. They reach the level of the eyebrow and go down to the bottom of the nose. You may see that you already have some markings left from where your circle went that we erased earlier. And it's nice to indicate some of the thickness of the ear there. The neck comes right out from underneath the ears. And most artists like to give a curve at the bottom of the neck to indicate that the neck is cylindrical. Where our 1/6 went down, this is going to be generally where the hairline falls. And then it's always important to give a little lift of hair off of the top, because our hair is never squashed down directly onto our head, unless your head's shaved, of course. So that's just a basic layout for human face. Everyone's face has very slightly different proportions, but you should look for everything to fall at approximately those locations. I would like to see each of you go ahead and try drawing the human face, following these proportions and these measurements. If you'd like to add on to it and add any shading or eyelashes, things like that. You may. I will perhaps go into further depth in the future. I wish you luck, and I look forward to seeing your drawings.